There is this famous quote by an Indian-born American actress called Padma Lakshmi, who said that women's voices not being heard is the root cause of many of the problems in the world. And I believe that, like women's voices, there are other voices that need to be heard. Hi, my name is Ronsley, and today I'm going to talk about three things if you were thinking of doing a podcast in 2020: what not to do, three things to consider, and what you should be doing if that's your plan for 2020. My name is Ronsley, and for the last 6.5 years, I've been in the podcasting world. I've done over 900 interviews. I'm the producer of an audio documentary called The Psychology of Entrepreneurship, which you can find on Spotify. The founder of an audio marketing agency called Must Amplify. We've been doing this for 4 years. Host of Should I Start a Podcast, and the creator of We Are Podcast, which is the first podcasting conference in the Southern Hemisphere. We've been doing it for 5 years now. Here's why I decided to make this, and this is version 6, by the way, whoever's watching. There's so much information, there's so much promise, and there's so many options out there. What do I mean by that? There's no shortage of people like myself telling you what things to do and in what order and how to make that all happen. So there's so much of information. There's so much of promise in the sense that what a podcast could potentially do for you and your business. There's enough people telling you that, get on the bandwagon before you miss it. And that's not what I want you to consider. But there's also so many options like, should you do a podcast? Should you do a YouTube video? Should you write a blog? Should you do Instagram, Facebook ads? There's so many bunch of things. So if you were considering about doing a podcast, here is the video that I'd want you to watch before you kind of decide whether that's the path you want to go down. So, what not to do, right? Number 1, put zero thought at the start. What do I mean by that? What we tend to do is, if it becomes all too hard, we worry about the growth tactics at the start and we put any kind of content out there. Doesn't matter what it is. It's the ease of creation of content. Because the content is already there, it becomes easy for us to put it out. So we do things like we repurpose video and all that kind of stuff. So, and I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. I'm just saying that there's no thought put at the start as to why this audio is being put out into the planet. So if that is the case, why would someone listen? Right? And the thing is that if you go after tactics after no thought is put at the start, the problem with tactics is that tactics have to be executed in the right order, with the right environment, and hopefully with the right accountability, because things have to be changed on the go. And tactics are built on a quality product. So you can only have a great tactic if you can, if you have something great to sort of apply the tactic to. The second thing is having no edit process. So now this is version 6 of this particular video because I've been trying to hone and communicate what I'm trying to achieve and what I'd love for you to get. And every time I do the video, I feel like I can say things in a different way and I can explain it better. So this is version 6. But everything we do has an edit process. No one would read a book without an editor going through it and actually editing it out. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is having no marketing plan or distribution plan. Now, if you step back and you think about the amount of books that are in garages that are never read by people, and if you actually go now and Google number of blogs written today, it'll be in the 2 million range every single day. And how many of those don't get read? The problem with that is because we feel like after we created something that it ends there. The distribution plan is what gets it out into the market, and that is super important. So those are 3 things that I hope and wish that you don't do when you're starting this process. The 3 things I'd love for you to consider, right? Firstly, the highest form of engagement with any kind of content is with audio, because audio is the only form of content that you can consume while you're doing other things. In other words, people are consuming it while they're at the gym, while they're running, while they're driving. Some of them are sitting at home, like sometimes even just cooking. And here's what happens with engaging audio when someone listens to you, right? It removes the icky sales conversations because they already, if they're consuming you, you've nurtured them. And that is important for any business, right? Rather than the sales process being us communicating to them one-on-one every time. If there's a way for us to communicate our value in a way that they get it in their own time, how awesome is that? So it removes the icky sales conversations. Two, consider a great podcast platform, because a great podcast platform is easy to recommend. It's easy to sell. It's easy to scale. It's easy to be proud of. And all those things come together because then the tactics become easy to apply, right? And the third thing is, what would it be like for you to add voice to your brand? Like, if you think about how brands have evolved today, every brand has a look, feel, with colors, logos, and fonts. What would it be like for a brand to have voice on top of that? Would it be unique? Would it be authentic? Could it be collaborative? So all those things are some stuff that you should consider when you're thinking of starting this process. And finally, I kind of want to talk to you about the 3 things that I would love you to do instead of the stuff that I wouldn't want you to do. Okay. So the first thing is build on marketing foundations. Now, marketing foundations is a really interesting thing. I mean, I went to MBA school, and in Marketing Principles 101, we are taught a whole bunch of marketing foundations on which a lot of marketing is built. And today, because of social media, that whole step is missed. And we kind of go, why is that not working? Well, it's not working because there's no marketing foundations in that copy, in that text, in that image, and everything put together is built on marketing foundations. So it's key that anything that you're doing and putting out there, that the marketing foundations are important. Because have you ever met someone in an airport and then went and checked them out online and their website doesn't align with what you thought it might look like, and there's a mismatch in credibility? Think of that, right? The second thing is, which I've been alluding to all as well, is launch great audio. Now, launching great audio means that you've thought about the process. I mean, the marketing foundations is important because that allows you to put thought into why you're creating it and all the other elements that come part of the parcel. But you also understand what to remove. You also understand what not to publish. And you also understand a whole bunch of different things which allow for great audio. And great audio is key. And I'll tell you why that is in a second. And finally, the third thing I'd love you to do is attach a sales machine to make sure that the distribution is happening after the publication of the podcast. Because when you have great audio and it's built on marketing foundations, then the repurposing and the extraction from that point to then take that and create a whole bunch of assets which allow people to kind of go, oh, I want to watch that. Oh, I want to listen to that. Oh, I want to consume that. All that is important. It all starts with great audio. And that whole plan and that distribution plan is key to getting the word out, and it becomes all part of the same sort of thing. Now, here's what I believe we are all looking for in one way or the other. We're all looking for authority in some form. Now, a lot of us might have an aversion to the word authority, but what I mean by that is credibility, trust, in terms of what and how we come across when someone first comes in contact with our brand. So that authority within the industry is I believe for me has got me to this point, and it's something that I can't lose even if I lose clients. Like, just having the network and the people that have all the authority is super valuable. The second thing is we want content, because the content proves the authority. Now, you might kind of watch this and go, who's this guy? But if you Google me, you'll see all the interviews that I've done, and there's enough content to show how long I've been doing this. And finally, what we want the most is opportunities. Now, opportunities come in different ways, right? And we only think about opportunities for our business in terms of selling, because that's the only form that business owners should think about, number one. But there is also other elements of opportunity. Being included in a deal that might have never come your way is an interesting opportunity. Partnering with a big company is an interesting opportunity. Here's what I wanted to think about. I've always done this one-on-one with the agency, and now we're looking to do this in a group. And if you've gotten to this point and you're like, hey, I'd love to do this with a bunch of people, I'm looking for creative business owners that come with batteries included, because I'm after case study material that I can actually use and create content from. So it all starts with the same things that we just spoke about. If you stand for something bigger and want to put your voice out in the planet and make sure that you help the right people, I'm looking for you. If you're someone that wants to learn a bunch of new skills, meet new people, and create and broadcast and publish a podcast along the way, comment Amplify below and I'll send you the details. In the meantime, here's what I want you to consider when it comes to confidence. Instead of going for growth tactics, right, as the biggest thing to think about, or tech, first start with understanding your VIPs. That is your very important people. And there are 3 very important people that you should consider in a group. You, who you are, who your audience is, and who will lend you authority to look good amongst your audience, right? 3 types of audiences. So understand your VIPs. The second thing is, we think that the best conversation comes from the questions that we ask. But the best conversation and the best interviews come from listening to ask that question. And the confidence needs to be built up from there. The third thing is, if anything goes wrong, and I've been recording for like the last 6.5 years, almost 7, if things can go wrong, they will. And having backups and preparing for those scenarios is super important. And we've have enough experience to give you the list of things and how to prepare for them and have the templates in there. Fourth, practice. Your imagination is only as good as your experience. So more practice, better experience, better ideas. Then get your tech so you represent quality. And finally, when all that is done, you can then go after growth tactics. My name is Ronsley. I hope you enjoyed this. This is the Pyramid of Confidence. If you're someone that wants to learn a bunch of new skills, meet new people, and create and broadcast and publish a podcast along the way, comment Amplify below and I'll send you the details.